All right, everyone, welcome back for this. Another cast here with Snow, doing some more casts from reddit.com/r/castit, a random cast. Random Reddit is what we're entitling these, but today we have a couple of players, and one of them not quite so random. And yeah, here we go. In the top right-hand corner here of Cloud Kingdom, the Zerg player and the most recent addition to Complexity's team from the Complexity Academy, he is coLGoswser.
And spawning opposite to him is the blue Terran Yeti.
Yeah, so we actually picked this one up from reddit.com/r/castit. Yeti submitting this game against coLGoswser. And a little bit interesting because we try to cast Diamond and Masters plays here, but we don't really see professional players being dropped into the cast it box too often. So a little bit of a treat for us. I tend to cast some professional games on my own at my YouTube page. But whenever Snow's joining me, we are typically doing these Reddit fun casts. So a little bit of a treat here for Shay as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a little bit of background with coLGoswser. He was the first player to be promoted to the A team, Complexity's A team, from their academy. The academy is a tournament that they hold that actually selects a few players that Complexity will then sponsor to try to get these players better, invest time in them to try to make sure that their play is improving, and they eventually have the possibility, like coLGoswser, of being promoted onto the actual team. Really cool thing that Complexity's doing, and I believe that Razer is actually sponsoring a new house down in Southern California that is going to be doing a similar team for a couple other teams, possibly Team Liquid or any other teams that Razer sponsors.
Oh, that's cool. And we had barracks racks both. There's a proxy racks and a racks walling off here for Yeti. So, and so far no gas. So gas is 2 racks opening.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing some 2-racks pressure here. That Macharax has not been scouted by the Zerg at this point, but getting into that base, I also wouldn't expect that he would have noticed that there was some hidden buildings. The drone is going to see that there is being a bunker dropped, but he has not reacted at this point.
He just sent one drone
There
over
we go.
to attack the SCV.
We got 6
I mean, noting
drones
the
being
SCV
pulled.
is a little bit lower on life there. Well, there's the other 4 drones, so that's...
But that was actually a distraction bunker. The real bunker is going to be down here on the low ground. That one is not within range of the
Ooh, but no
the
cancel
hatchery.
on that bunker.
Really, he didn't get the cancel off.
No
That's
cancel.
less than ideal. And so the drones are going to come in here. They are going to see the second bunker. They're going to be able to get a decent round of the SCV, but the SCV moves.
But there's
at the
3
perfect
Marines, so that's
time.
really going to put a damper on any chance of coming in with 5 workers.
Yeah, certainly beautiful play here with the SCV repairing the other SCV. But with both of these bunkers, the Marines are going to have a fallback position. The SCV going to be able to fall back in there as well.
Oh, all 5 of those lanes are going to eat it.
Yeah, a little bit of miscontrol here by coLGoswser and dropping another bunker before the creep
denied by
spreads.
the blight.
But
Or creep, as it is in StarCraft.
yeah, you Warcraft 3 player, you. And trying to get that last bunker down before the creep spread, but unfortunately it did fall in a little bit of miscontrol once again from our Terran player this time. Losing a Marine to a Queen, that's something that really shouldn't happen. One more Marine might
Another
even fall.
one's is definitely going to
Yeah,
go down.
a little bit of miscontrol here. Unfortunate, but we'll see
Maybe
how
just a
this
little
turns
greedy, but
out.
that one Queen is really low, so it's pretty tempting.
Yeah, and that Spine Crawler, once it gets into range, does actually outrange the Marines, even with the +1 bonus from being in the bunker. It will have 7 range, so these Marines do need to be moving out to actually attack that Spine Crawler, because the Spine Crawler is going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be able to poke at the SCVs. And they will 2-shot these Marines because they do not have combat shield.
And it looks like it's just out of range for now. Oh, but it's going to hit that SCV.
Yep. And so the Marines actually just doing a little bit of a contain here right now. Going to be able
And we
to
see
get
2 more racks and a CC going down back in Yeti's base, so he is playing well behind this. He's macroing well behind this.
dropping both gases right now, so going to be going into some standard play. We did see the Baneling Nest coming up for the Zerg at this time. So he is going to be making use of Banelings to try to get rid of these bunkers. But at this point, dropping this much investment into the Zerglings and the Banelings, also missing a couple of injects from the Queens, the Zerg's going to be pretty far behind, even when he cleans this up.
Yeah, I mean, we see have another a supply depot actually being built.
Oh, a little bit of trash talk coming out from coGoswser. Yeah,
and
very
Yeti
interesting.
being fairly frank with him.
Yeah, not gonna try to hide what he's doing whatsoever. And let's take a look here at the worker counts, and it's gonna be 28 to 26 in favor of the Zerg player. And let's see, did the Zerg player spot that? I think the Zerg player did go ahead and see that most of those Marines were evacuated, but without sending a unit in there, he can't really be sure. Most of those Marines are going to be retreated. Two being left in each bunker. I would expect a salvage on the
No.
rear bunker
Really
first.
curious about that supply depot, I have to say.
The supply depot was mostly just to provide as much of a wall as possible. That might even be a full wall. And we do
Yeah,
see a lot of banelings being morphed right now. 11 banelings in the process of being morphed. And if he puts those banelings into these bunkers, that is going to be embarrassing for coGoswser.
definitely.
Right now, the investment on these bunkers is very minimal. If he's able to get salvages off, oh man. But the baneling's actually crashing in there, and oh
Oh
my god.
no!
I would expect to see an LOL come out from the Zerg at any second. He's going to be able to get a salvage on the rest of
And a
that. But that was
salvage.
6 banelings and a few Zerglings being used on that, and the Zerg is going to be counterattacking at home. The Terran is going to be very wisely raising up that orbital command and trying to fortify his top ground to prevent this baneling bust. But yeah, we'll see. The
It's
Zerg went,
supply blocked right now. Actually, just relieving itself now.
yeah, losing that supply depot up in the front. He had not compensated that for that by dropping a supply depot at home, an extra one. Macro hatch is going down, but there has been no third hatchery taken.
So he's morphing about 7 more banelings here, 6 more, and
He's going to be going for a pretty serious baneling bust. Unfortunately, there are no bunkers that have been
the
dropped
Terran is
for now.
positioning his units very wisely along that side of the ramps like sheep, but they're
Oh
actually moving out
no!
now, and he is actually going to drop a bunker.
Oh
That's no, it's a
no!
little bit too close for comfort. There's definitely going to be something that comes out of this.
And the Zerglings are going to be going in for a pretty nice round, trying to get those Marauders in the front. SCV's going to be filing in right now, but those Marines are all going to die. Every
Oh,
single
that's
one of
going to
the
be a
Marines goes
huge hit on
down.
those Marines. There it is.
The SCVs are actually going to live, and all the Marines except for 6 are actually going to go down. And the SCVs are going to be able to just get in there and do some mining. The bust was essentially failed. Let's take a look at the resources lost tab here. Let's see if
I mean,
I
he
can
did a really good
have
job
it
of
on
actually
me.
splitting those Marauders into the back and letting them just fire away.
Yeah, certainly. So the Zerg is actually at 2,300 resources lost as opposed to 1,400. So quite a favor there quite in favor of our Terran player for the time being, and very
Now,
well controlled.
I mean, had he had concussive shells, that little Marauder split would have been even more impressive.
Definitely. And because Banelings certainly are not effective against Marauders whatsoever. It takes so many Banelings to kill a Marauder. But back home, it looks like both players are going to be transitioning from here. Lair upgrade is going to be completing almost any moment. A third base is going to be dropped for the Zerg. Macro hatch already down, in addition to +1/1 ground armor upgrades for the Zerg player. Going to be transitioning into heavily upgraded Ling and Infestor play, I would expect.
And you see Stim just finishing up, and +1 is going. +1 weapon, that is. We do not have a second eBay for armor.
So something interesting to note is that he, with that Baneling Nest, is going to be grabbing centrifugal hooks. And so that means he's going to be trying to incorporate Banelings pretty heavily into his play, which is something you don't see too often when going with Infestors. You typically see Lings and Infestors, the Infestors being the gas-heavy unit. Banelings are exceptionally gas-heavy as well. When you think about it, morphing 4 Zerglings into Banelings is 100 gas, so you get 6 Banelings or 1 Infestor. And those Banelings are pretty much the definition of one-time use. So
And especially after that contain, not being able to get that 5th and 6th gases early.
certainly. So I'm a little bit interested with that. It almost made me think that he was going to be going for Mutiling Baneling, but he did drop that Infestation Pit. So we'll see how it ends up going. Nice scan here by the Terran. Going to be able to scan the third, see the army composition, and be able to decide if he's going to be able to go in there or not. Stims up those Marauders, and he's going to start picking off all these Banelings. Zergling's going to go in for a nice surround right here, and the Banelings are going to be starting to crash into the Marines. Nice pickup by the
There's a pickup there in the
and Zerglings are going to be attacking these Marauders. Zerglings do not be that effective against Marauders in terms of damage, but the Marauders do almost no damage output as well. And the Terran player is going to be dropping into the main here, elevatoring up onto the high ground. Zerglings are going to take a while to come back all the way around, and as soon as those units get there, he's just going to pick up and scoot on out of there. Very nice job from our Terran player.
We see some more. He's building now his first 6 infestors.
Infestor is going to be crucial to dealing with that drop play right now. Going to be starting +2 ground upgrades. Does not quite have the gas for the +2 ground armor.
See Terran getting +1 ground armor. Siege tech is going, and he has 1 tank out, another on the way. More Marines, another Marauder. So there's more of the same here for our Terran player, but a little bit different in the future now with the Zerg, now that these infestors are on the field.
Certainly.
Although I don't think that he got pathogen glands.
You know what? He
He
did
didn't.
not. That is a huge mistake from our Zerg player. Without pathogen glands, those infestors are going to be very, very ineffective. They do not start with enough energy to actually send out a fungal, and they're going to be somewhat similar to how High Templar are currently. And the drop coming in once again, very nice pickup from our medevac here. Going to be taking a little bit of damage from the Queen, but managed to escape with only 1 Marine loss after sniping quite a few drones there. But like you said, that pathogen gland is really going to come back to bite the Zerg player in his ass.
We do see a 4th expo going up now for the Zerg.
Yeah. But similar to High Templars, and how High Templars only spawn with 50 energy if they need 75 for a storm, these infestors are going to spawn with 50 energy and need 75 for a fungal, and that is not going to make our Zerg player happy when he realizes his mistake. Did you see burrowed banelings out here at the front door for the Terran? 5 of them.
Which means he still hasn't realized, he still hasn't started researching it even.
Yeah, coLGoswser seems like he's a little bit on tilt at this point, starting from that contain, probably beating himself up over using so many banelings on essentially empty bunkers.
Also, we want to point out there's 5 road banelings here at the base of the ramp, so if that bio army moves out down that ramp and it's not careful, there could be some very ugly results.
Yeah. And so there was a drop in the main, picking off quite a few more drones. We do actually see only a total of 11 drones at the main base right here. That's a little bit less than half of optimal saturation at the main base. And if we take a look at the total unit count, only at 74 drones off of 4 bases. It's a little bit lower than you want to be, but not too bad. It could be a lot worse.
We got adrenal glands now restreaming. There's more banelings being warped, and there's also a burrowed Zergling over there at the 3rd for, or the 4th rather, for Yeti.
Yeah, that Zergling going to be a little bit of pain. More burrowed banelings, like you said, in strategic locations where the Terran might be moving out. And Zergling is going to be fighting with the Marine. Unfortunately, the Zergling is going to lose that battle just a little bit once Pathogen Glands and +3/3 do finish up.
Thank you, Combat Shield.
And these burrowed banelings will actually spot a drop coming over here to the 4th. You'll see the Zerglings start to move on out right now. Actually going to be trying to combat this drop in the main. The drop in the main really being quite the pain. That rhymed. And yeah, that one drop really just going to be giving him hell the entire game, and still no pathogen glands. And that is brutal. Another drop coming over here into the natural.
We're actually seeing kidness plating. And we're seeing 7 Ultralisks being spawned.
Yep. Ultralisk Cavern did complete just a minute ago, and nice fungals on this medevac, and be able to take that out with the assistance of a Queen. But
nice scan. He's caught 3 burrowed banelings there.
The Terran is going to be stimming up here over to try to get into the 4th base. And down goes the Queen. The siege tanks are going to be able to siege up in a relatively favorable position. Let's see what the Zerg does have to respond to this. These infestors are going to be burrowed. The Terran going to be able to take out this hatchery. Infested Terran going down, try to draw a little bit of siege tank fire, and here come the Zerglings and the Banelings. Fungal's going to be going down on the bio ball when they can, and not a very effective split from the Terran. The Banelings are going to be crashing out, and the entire Terran army is going to be cleaned up from this. Not a very favorable engagement. Going to load up with whatever he can, but the infestors should be picking off those medevacs, but instead they're just doing nothing. They're being so lazy.
Oh, here they come now. Oh, wow. Little's Forge is still sitting there and still not getting a fungal on.
Yeah, a little bit indecisive. I think he was a little bit more worried about his main base than anything else. Once again, going to snipe off that Queen, going to be able to pick up some of these units here. But look at the cost effectiveness of this drop. Still at 100% of the units that it started with. The medevac is safe, and he's probably just going to retreat with that. I would think that with the units as low as they are, the medevac out of energy, it's time to bring that one back into the fold and get him home. But no. This is kind of like World War II. They tell him 25 missions, and this one just keeps on going. Not going to let him go home just yet. And we do see a sensor tower being plopped down here on the low ground near the fourth of the Terran. So he is going to be able to spot any kind of aggression that might be coming in from the Zerg, but the Zerg's army is just absolutely fearsome right now. Plus 3-3 units going to be piling into the Terran. The Terran only with 4 siege tanks, that's not going to be enough to deal with this. The Terran's going to need to do some very, very nice splitting at this point, but with 6 Infestors being told... Oh, look at that Ultralist. Do you see the Ultra dancing in the middle of the Banelings?
I do, yeah.
Kind of funny looking. Trying to get out of there, but the
You know,
Banelings essentially being
something
buildings.
Yeti really needs here is just 3-3 on those bio, which he doesn't have at all.
Yeah, Bunker's going to be going down, trying to create a Sim City here, but Infestors are going to be plopping down the fungal growths on top of the units. The Ultra is trying to funnel in here, and the Banelings not making the most effective connections on the tanks, and the Ultras are going to be actually able to be killed. The Infestors are not doing the best job of fungling. There needs to be some fungals on that big grouped up
Oh,
bio.
the Ultra with 8 life, and he's going to run away, it looks like. But yeah, surprising engagement did not go as well for the Zerg as it looked like it ought to have.
The bio is actually going to stim up and chase after these Infestors right now, and I'm really surprised that he's not blowing the energy on one of these Infestors to try to save these units. The Infestor with 6 life, excuse me, Ultras with 6 life does eventually fall, but real hesitation from our Zerg player to use his fungals, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's still no pathogen, still no... Now, I didn't see what happened to that drop that
I
was
didn't
hanging up by the
either.
base. I don't see it over there anymore, so maybe that got cleaned up. Maybe he sent that home.
I think that the hero drop probably did end up dying. There is a queen over there, but no kills on it, so...
Well, +3/+3 is now going down, as well as Concussive Shell, 2 more tanks coming out, another CC coming out, more medevacs coming out.
You know what I think it was? I think it moved down to the 3rd, and it was killed down there because the queen did just respawn at the 3rd.
Sounds reasonable.
And so, Infestors should be landing big fungals here onto
Oh.
the Bioball once again. The Ultra's trying to get in there, but they can't exactly. The Baneling's going to be connecting on a lot of those Marauders, not what you want to be getting them on. You need to get those on the Marines. And once again, these Infestors finally drop down the fungal on these medevacs. You need to drop a couple of Infested Terran, otherwise you can have...
And that's really the biggest loss there is losing those medevacs.
Yeah, most certainly.
The bio's quite replaceable, but the medevacs is... And he's leaving. He's going to let them go.
And letting those full energy medevacs go, and I really disagree with that at this point. I mean, I guess since he's not getting in pathogen glands, the energy becomes more important, but that just doesn't seem reasonable to me.
But, I mean, yeah, get pathogen glands.
Yeah, pathogen glands is pretty much the same cost as one infestor. Infestors are 100, 150. Pathogen glands 150, 150. And the minerals are essentially free at that point.
We see a tank loaded up here. I'm not sure if that was a misclick or if that's intentional. Given that it's not moving, it's probably just a misclick.
Yeah. And so the Zerg are actually down to only one mining base. The natural and the main both mined out. And the 4th actually just taken. Going to be getting gases up right now. But with that 4th being sniped over at the 3 o'clock position a little bit earlier, going to be rather difficult for the Zerg to get his economy back up at this point. Trying to get some really high-tech units, really cost-effective units like Infestors and Ultralisks. But those are expensive units, especially in gas.
Absolutely. They're going to tank just drop back down. And here's a load up to another dropship moving out.
And 3-3 finally finishing for the bio units, a little bit later than you would like to see it for the Terran. But this has been a pretty scrappy game with quite a few engagements. Not surprising that he hadn't been able to finish that just yet.
And Thor's coming out.
Yeah, Thor's actually going to be used here to try to soak up some damage from the big units like the Ultralisks, maybe obstruct their path a little bit.
And
Burrowed
maybe get a few
Baneling.
Baneling splashes.
Yeah, those Burrowed Banelings going to try
up
to
here. No, keep in there are those 5 Burrow Banelings there.
Oh, I want to see the bio hit those so bad. As a Zerg player, that will make me so happy.
Raid all the it's just, this quaking little insect under the ground.
And we do see a drop over here in the natural once again, going to be able to take out that hatchery. That's not going to be the biggest of loss for the Zerg player right now. Manages to pick up absolutely everything once again. Our Terran player showing some exceptional control of his drops at this point.
Absolutely. And that 3-3 little drop makes such quick work of a hatchery.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, that had already been mined out. That was mostly for the gas at that point, and even the gas had lost most of the drones in it, and the production would be the other big thing. The Terran moving out into a couple different locations right now. That drop going to be sitting over here at the 4th and loading up once again to go back into the natural. The Zerg going to be patrolling between his 5th base and 4th base, trying to make sure that the Terran doesn't get any kind of aggression. But the Terran right now just seems to be content to sit back on his 4th, produce a couple more command centers, and maybe split the map right in half, north and south, once again like we're back in Korea.
Terran mech ball here moving
Oh,
with
hold on a
Biospores
second.
while
We do
moving up
have
here into the center of the map.
we do have a drop
looks
in
like
the
just
main.
tank sieging up in the back. Stims down. Fungal's catching one of those Thors as well as some of the Marines, but they are still pulling back.
And meanwhile, in the main, the drop once again going to be doing some serious damage. Going to be able to take out the Ultralisk Cavern in addition to the Baneling Nest, and those are
Baneling
two
Nest as
key
well. Oh, that's
production
such a
facilities.
loss.
And getting the infestation pit down pretty far. And back into this engagement, the tanks are going to be sieging up in the background, but huge fungus going down to the Thors, dying to those Ultras so fast, and the Zerg going to be able to take a pretty convincing victory right here. Supplies at 140 for the Zerg and 120 for the Terran.
Oh, and there's the Investor, and there's the Fungal, and those all medevacs are all going to go down.
Every one of those medevacs falls, and the Terrans all the way down to 121 supply.
Oh, they were almost all falling. That's such a sad thing to see.
Yep.
And he did lose that drop as well. The big engagement started, and very understandably, he stopped paying attention to it.
Yeah, but the thing about the Zerg is that he lost a couple of his key facilities right there. The only thing he's going to be able to produce is Infestors and Zerglings at this point. He needs to wait for that Ultralisk Cavern to come back up, and he certainly does not have the production that he needs right now. Same with the Terran. The Terran's holding a lot of minerals, but he does not have nearly enough production facilities. So we see in total 6 racks. That's all I'm counting is 6 racks.
I'm seeing 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, but still, even then, I mean, most of these have 2 reactors, but looks like 3 reactors. Okay, but just not the production. I mean, only 3 Marines in production right now, so it's only 3 Marauders.
Yeah, and
4 Thors are really going heavy on the Thors. I'm seeing Thors as his way out of this one right now. But
yeah, Thor being a very cost-heavy unit, mineral-intensive unit, and gas. Is going to be able to spend his bank pretty effectively at that point, but the upgrades that have not been researched for the Thors, like the vehicle plating, is what's really going to bite him in the ass. With 3
exactly, and I mean, you got to think too. I mean, he just took out. He knows the buildings he just took out. He just took out the Ultralisk Cavern as well as the Baneling Nest. He knows there could be a lot of Lings on the map, and Thors don't really do that great against Lings.
Exactly. We do see the Planetary Fortress canceling down here at the 5 o'clock position. Lings are going to be cleaning up all those SCVs, and the Infestors are actually a little bit exposed right here. I would like to see a stim in from the Terran. I think that he could probably take that fight. He does have a superior high ground advantage. And with the Zerg being choked in there pretty well, I think that the Terran really could have taken that. This is not a favorable
Here he's
engagement,
really
though.
trying to cut these Lings off, but you really want to try to cut that ball of Lings off with your Thors.
And at this point, the Terran has managed to max
Like a
back
one
out.
shot off on that Infestor, yeah. And oh, there's the snipe with the grenade.
And so the Zerg has established this base up here at the 11 o'clock, dropping a couple of spines just to make sure that drops are going to have minimal effect up there. But the Zerg, once again, only on 3 mining bases, about to be 2, as his 3rd will mine out relatively soon, but the Terran's only going to be on 1 mining base for the time being. Another command center floating down to try to... Oh, nice
We
fungal.
traded a Fungal for an Infestor, another one for an... Ooh.
I do like those fungals overall.
Yeah, those are getting some kills, especially with...
And here
It's
comes...
good, I mean, he does have like 5 medevacs back there, but they're just not up enough to heal, and they're
Here
crashing
comes
against the
units.
Thors. The tanks are firing away, and this is looking like it might just turn out for Yeti.
And, yeah,
No, too many Lings down there.
the Zerg's actually going to be able to pull this out once again, but this time the medevacs will escape, and the Zerg actually does have quite a bit of bank, being on that 5 mining bases, or 5 bases total, as opposed to only the 4 for the Terran temporarily, even though the Terran's mineral income is going to be relatively high with a total of 5 orbital command centers. I just don't think he's going to have the time to reproduce right now. The Zerg is just not going to let up off the pressure.
You know, you just see a bunch more Marines, 9 Marines coming out, 4 Thors coming out, still not the upgrades, neglecting the upgrades. I mean, think of how that fight would have gone had he had +3 vehicle plating.
Yeah, certainly. The Thors, if they are going to be used as tanks up here, you do really want to get their armor up. And that's really all that he's using them for. He's not having them in the back. He's not using them for their DPS. He's using them to try to soak up Baneling hits. He's using them to try to obstruct the paths of the Overlords. And you really do want to get some armor for them if you're able to.
And I mean, against Ultra, they hit our Ultralisk fairly hard. So you're honestly, as exactly said, worried about their damage. I mean, you do want the tank upgrade still, so it's not a bad idea to get it, but the plating really is crucial.
And look at this, we do have infested Terrans coming down in from the high ground. Oh no! Instead he's going to fungal, and that's going to be a lot of SCVs killed. Let's take a look right here. That was
Oh,
actually
that's a
22
huge explosion.
SCVs.
Look at that. Wow.
That was 22 SCVs so far. Let's see if we can get some more. The Bioball is going to come in. He's going to lose all those infestors, and at this point, really, I'm not sure, but here comes the armies. They are going to be coming in. The Ultralists certainly
That
invading
one
armies.
infestor hanging out in the corner there, it looks like.
And the Ultras are going to be able to put in a ton of damage right now. SCV's being pulled off the line. Actually going to get in there and try to get a little piece of the action for themselves. Infestors finally showing up to the party, dropping very nice fungals. The couple Thors in the background are going to be able to put quite a bit of damage into
So
the
there's that one
Ultralisk.
Thor in the background that's firing away at an Overseer instead of shooting at the Ultralisk.
Yeah, but the Terran actually going to have to tap out here. He simply did not have the correct army to deal with that Zerg. Able to really just mass him up at that point.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting game. I mean, really a well played game for Ghosty. I mean, that he was able to come back from a pretty good contain and a lot of pretty good harass. But yet he just sort of played himself out there.
Yeah, definitely. And when you switch to that Ultralisk tech, the things that are going to be super effective against Ultralisk are siege tanks and marauders. And I feel like the Terran just did not have enough marauders producing there at the end. The barracks that did have tech labs on them, there were only 2 of them. And the siege tanks production had pretty much stopped. He instead opted to go with Thors, which Thors do good damage, but in terms of their cost effectiveness opposed to tanks, the tanks are going to be a lot more effective. If you can have a Marauder ball in the front, the Marauders are going to be highly effective against the fungal growths, the infestors, and they're going to be effective against the Ultralisks. Whereas the Thors are really only going to be effective against the Thors if they're able to sit back in the back and just do damage unobstructed.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look, like you said, he does actually have 3 tech labs, but you're right, still not not the greatest for mass, and it's still even a naked barracks up there from his original wall that never did get an add-on.
Yeah, sure.
He was on 2 factory, a one star port, so definitely could have gone higher production given that he was playing around with 4 bases there for a while.
And the last thing that I want to note, those 5 banelings that we did have up at the front ramp of the Terran never got used.
And they're still there.
That makes me so sad. I really just wanted to, go crazy when those banelings happened, but never happened. So, drop play proves ineffectual for Terran here, and coLGoswser, the Complexity Pro player, is actually going to take this game after some very nice expansion. And, yeah, any closing words from you, Shay?
No, I mean, just again, kind of a game of missed upgrades, but it turned out to hurt the Zerg less in the long run. He didn't grab pathogen glands, and the Terran, on the other hand, didn't grab the vehicle plating that he really needed. So one proved to be just a little bit less detrimental here in the long run.
Look at that. He never grabbed pathogen glands. There's so many infestors produced that game. Never had pathogen glands. I almost wonder if that's intentional, but I can't possibly see that being as intentional.
I mean, and not a Zerg player, I don't know if there's a breaking point once you've built a certain amount. It's not worth it. I mean, it sounds silly to me. I really have no idea why he wouldn't get it.
Yeah, who knows? All right, once again, I've been your casting host, Beef. Joining me is Snow. We were casting games here from reddit.com/r/castit. Make sure to submit your replays there. We do cast diamond level and higher replays that are submitted from there. Link will be in the description of this video. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time.